everything up and make a thumbnail and everything, so I think we're good. Let's
All right.
see. Okay, we'll just make sure it says we're live and check it one more time. Yeah, it looks like we are. Cool. All right. Hey there. Welcome to Legit Bat. If this is your first time listening, I'm Joe. Jen is not with me tonight. Obviously, Ben isn't either, and we miss him. Ben, come back to us. We really do miss you. Jen is busy working, so I will be running this solo. I did try to wrangle in a co-host or two, but it doesn't matter to me. I'll talk somebody's ear off anyway. But our guest tonight is Randy Goodwin. Randy Goodwin Deliverance.org. Did I get that right? Or is it just Randy Goodwin?
RandyGoodwin.org.
.org. Okay, so you're Randy Goodwin Deliverance on most of the socials I was looking at. So
Yeah. That's
so
correct.
this is a happenstance episode where it happens every once in a while, but his booker reached out to us and apparently decided we're a good fit, and I agree because Mr. Goodwin was recently on Jake or Raven and Top Lobster's show over at Nephilim Death Squad, and I got the chance to listen to that today at work, so I could get kind of an idea of what this guy's all about, and it's right up my alley. So I know the listeners have heard this a lot, and they're probably tired of hearing it, but for Randy's sake, so he knows a little bit about me, I grew up insanely Christian, Baptist. I mean, conservative, like to a fault, almost, I would say.
Okay.
And so with that in mind, this is going to be kind of more of a philosophical slash religious slash, I don't know, kind of paranormal at times, I guess. But Randy, why don't you just give us a quick intro into your background and what exactly you do?
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on. That's very kind of you guys. So I help SRA survivors and those in the occult that want to get free. And it's a process. It doesn't take years to do this if you know the correct formula and how to do it. A few months, maybe ish. Depends on the person, of course. If we get a high level, someone that's maybe has even like governmental programming in them, CIA and this type of stuff, or their names goes way back in time on the books, and we can get into this a little bit later. They can have more stuff uh, deeply embedded that the roots are deep. So you just have to go to the root and just pull that string, and it's amazing how it starts coming apart. The way I got started doing this, I've been a believer since I've been about 13 years old. I'm an old man now, but like most people, you get to be a teenager, you start to, do this, you do that. What I mean by that, you sin here, you sin there.
Yeah, a little bit of sin here, there. Yeah, everybody does that. Yeah.
I did, and got my plate full. Uh, got into relationships I shouldn't have gotten into, but I did by choice. And with that, you bring things upon yourself, open doors. And so, anyways, I get to the point about 9 years ago. And keep in mind, I am a born again believer still at this point, but I knew I had stuff in my soul. And I was serious with the Lord. And I said, you know what, Lord, do whatever you have to do. I want this stuff out once and for all. And I will do whatever you want me to do. I don't care what it is. I will do it. And so after the prayer, I got up, nothing changed. No, here I am. So,
What? No instant gratification?
right. So now, uh, it's like faith, and then we got works. We got these two things that we have to do. So I did the faith thing. I prayed. So now I got to do something. So I had to seek out people that were, that could help. So I did. And I had about probably 4 sessions on myself with different people. And after I did that, entities came out. And when entities come out of you, it's like You know what it's like carrying groceries in from the car? You got a big sack here. You got the big the 5 gallon thing of laundry soap in this hand, oh, like this, and then you try to open the door and it's you know, you're carrying it in. Oh, you put it on the counter and then oh, it feels like that, putting all that weight down.
I've heard that a lot. I mean, that's a kind of a trope in the,
It is.
religion in general, especially in Christianity. But yeah, literally laying your burdens at the cross. That's why they use that metaphor, is because it feels like I'm relieved, I'm done. Yeah.
Right. And so it just feels like a weight has been taken off of you. And that's exactly what happens because when entities leave you, you know, when they're in your soul, it's like, there's pressure in there and they keep, going like this, accusing you and uh, leading you down this path and that path and just this constant, battle that's going on in your mind is what they try to do. And especially if you're a born again believer, because now you become a target. You're a direct target. So when you get them removed, it feels good. And so what happened to me, uh, entities came out, and we have like blinders on our eyes because of the entities, and it's hard just to see things, make decisions sometimes, and that's why we make bad decisions because we got entities in there that lead us over here and lead us over there, and we know we shouldn't go, but we do it, right? So,
I say that all the time to people where my interpretation of, I can't remember what verse it is, but it's something to the effect that God has revealed himself to everyone, to all men, whatever, it's something to that effect.
mhm.
I used to go rounds with my parents about that because I'm like, what about the people, uncontacted tribes, or whatever. And my thoughts on it is that God revealing himself to everybody is your conscience to some degree. It's kind of, I always say everybody knows what they should and shouldn't do, but they like to pretend like they don't. So whether you're, going to flip somebody off in traffic because they cut you off, before you do that, that's not necessary. You don't need to do that. But you do it anyway, and then you go, that was kind of stupid. Like, why did I do that? Uh,
Exactly. That's a
I
good
don't really know
example.
where I'm going with that, but that's what that's what I was
No,
getting from
no,
that.
that's a good example because that anger came up in that traffic stop, traffic light, and then a reaction came out, and that wasn't God telling that person to give this guy the finger. That wasn't, that was the enemy. So, anyways, after these entities came out of me, I sat there and I was go, wow. And then it was like the Holy Ghost just spoke to me and it said, okay, now I want you to make other people feel like the way you feel right now. And I just sat there and I go, okay, I can see it now. I can see what you've been trying to tell me for the last, you know, 50 years to the 10th power. Okay. I
You
couldn't,
had a light bulb moment.
I had a light bulb moment. And so um, I just started going down this journey and learning every possible waking hour I could. And here I am. And this is just where I'm supposed to stand. It's a real small place to be, in the bigger picture. But that's just where I'm supposed to stand. And this is where how I got at this point. And I love it.
Hey,
It's
we need more of you out there, apparently. So one
great.
of the things I took away from your show with Raven and Top was that you believe literally everybody needs this. So I did have a question about that because you said everybody needs to be, purged or cleansed or whatever. So even
Yeah.
Christians, so even people that have accepted Jesus as their savior still need that. And my question to that was, I was always taught that if you're a born again Christian, Jesus resides inside of you, that it's literally impossible for demons to invade you because they can't, they don't, it's like oil and water. They can't do that. Is like, what do you think about that? So you think that even Christians, maybe not full on demon possession, more of I guess what the New Agers would call like attachments, entity attachments, that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
It's a very common teaching, in today's Christian world, especially among the conservative circle. Um, there's nowhere in the Bible that it says a Christian cannot have a demon. It does not say that. The verse you're referring to, that is most referred to, is light and darkness can't mix. That's the verse that's referring. But if you read, see, we just can't pull one little verse out, and make a thesis out of it. We got to read what the writer's writing about here, and what's God trying to tell us here. So if you read that whole chapter, it's talking about choosing a spouse and
Unequally yoked, that kind of thing.
unequally yoked.
Yeah.
So he's speaking to a believer, and he's speaking to a believer to choose a mate who is like-minded, who's also a believer. So you're not unequally yoked, and it's like that water and oil doesn't mix. That's what that verse is talking about. So when you're born again, your spirit gets reborn. The Holy Spirit yokes to your spirit, and your name's written in the Lamb Book of Life. Now, our soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions, it's still there. The thoughts you had 5 minutes prior to getting born again, those thoughts are still there. All those memories you had prior to the 5 minutes to getting born again, they're still there. All that stuff is still in your soul. And so that's what I'm talking about. And that's where the playground for the enemy is. It's in our soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions. That's the part that needs to be cleaned out, because that's where he targets. And the scriptures tell us, it doesn't say anything about oppressed or possessed. The Greek word is demonized. That's what it means. So it's either yes or no.
So does this?
You know,
I guess the other thing I had thought about too is, uh, you guys were talking about how, when you get a bad thought, I think you related it to porn. Like that's an easy one. Like you're sitting at the computer and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go check out this site, and it's like the classic demon and angel on your shoulders. You got one that's the still small voice going, shouldn't do that. Like, come on, dude, don't do that. Then you
right.
got the other one. It's like, it's fine. Just what, just click over there. It's no big deal. So, are you taking agency away from the individual by thinking of it like that and just blaming it on your shoulder demons and angels? Or because it is up to you, it is still your choice. But so do you have any original thoughts, like as people? Like, I know we have free will, but do you have original thoughts, or is everything kind of an influence?
Everything's an influence, but we do have a free will choice. You know, let's take that young man sitting at the computer. Okay, he's got, there's a holy angel over here and an unholy angel over here, and they're both trying to target the mind for this young man to make a decision whether to click on that or not. Now, that young man can choose what path what way he wants to do. The Lord says he'll always make a way of escape. So you made a statement earlier about your conscience. Well, you're gonna hear a little voice down here.
Oh yeah.
If you're a born again believer, then you're gonna hear this voice saying, "You need to get out of here." Now it depends on your relationship with the Lord. It 100% everything depicts about that. If you've got maybe you're not so close to the Lord, but you're a born again believer, then that voice isn't going to be really loud. It's going to be real kind of faint, saying, you shouldn't do this. You need to leave. It's going to be faint and you're going to struggle hearing it.
But it's
Because,
still there.
but it's still there. It's still correct. It's still there. And so he'll always provide a way of escape. We do have that free will choice. And once we do give in to, choose the enemy's way, you know, now we have given him a right, I like to say legal right. Everybody's heard that word, but we've provided entrance for things to come in.
It's opening the door for the vampire. You're
It's
giving
opening the
consent.
door.
It's yeah.
That's correct.
And yeah, it kind of has the snowball effect too, where
It
you
does.
let it in once, and it's kind of like the. It reminds me of the algorithm on social media and stuff like that, where you click on an ad once, even if it was by accident, and all of a sudden the next 15 ads are the same thing. That's what it reminds me of. It's like, well, you clicked on it once, maybe here's some more. Here's some more opportunities to do that because you did it already,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to turn that down depending on what your particular vice is, because you'll justify it 6 ways to Sunday because you're like, well, it's just today. I'll stop that tomorrow. Like I won't do it tomorrow. But
You
then
know,
the next day comes around and it's
yeah,
easier to say yes again because you're like, maybe tomorrow.
that's right. So we give into that, and now, um, in the AI world, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, now they take that choice that you just made, that bad choice that you just made, and now all these uh, assignments are going out on the AI. I'm just using that for something to relate to assign you to get you to click again, to push you to make put the pressure on, so it's easier next time to click on it again and not listen to that still small voice, because it's going to get softer and softer and softer, you know, and pretty soon Holy Spirit won't even be talking to you. You won't even hear it. It'll just be
I
so
think
faint.
that's. I mean, if you want to go into psychology, I think that's where psychopaths come from. Is they've. I mean, it could very well be a mental condition too, but I think a lot of this is a lot more spiritual than people want to give credit to. But something like a true psychopath, like Bill Gates, like Fauci, these type of people, I think they've shunned that voice and that
Oh
it's
yeah.
basically an instinct. They've done it so many times that they don't even actually hear it anymore. It might still be there, but it's so under their shoe that it's not even an issue. Oh, we'll kill millions of people, it doesn't matter because I'm justifying it by this whatever, money most of the time. But yeah,
Yeah, well, people at that level, they're highly programmed individuals, and so they're
if
basically,
they're even human.
well, yeah, that's another thought, but they're walking around in a programmed state. Their mind is programmed to conduct themselves this way, and this way, and make these choices. So a big part of them is being pushed already with those programs inside them to make these choices, because the light of Lucifer is on top of their soul, and uh, their soul has been divided in the hemisphere, and there's a big gap in between. And so they got these programs installed very, very deep. So like, people like Bill Gates and such. And you don't even have to be at that level, to be quite honest. You really don't. Uh, the enemy wants everybody to just not have a close relationship with Christ. Everybody. And if he can get you even at a small level, just to get you to not follow him and just look slightly away, and then a
That's a
little
win
more,
for him.
it's a win for him, and a little more each time, then he's got another one.
It's
So
just a cosmic, eternal tug of war. It seems like where even a little bit helps. You get one side further. And I
yeah,
guess that's the way the adversary would look at that. But he's also delusional, from what I can tell. So I don't know what
yeah,
his deal is continuing this for millennia. But uh, perfect
absolutely.
jumping off point for that, though. That was interesting too when you were talking about the splitting. So if we're going into the SRA stuff, and for people who don't know, uh, tread lightly on that subject because it gets dark real quick, and you don't need that in your life unless you're trying to go out there and actually fight it. But
Yeah.
satanic ritual abuse, and this, if you want to say it's not real, that's fine, but it's real, even if it's subconscious or even if it's, on a mass level, MK Ultra type of thing with our phones and algorithms and all that stuff. I think all of that is some kind of ritual abuse or uh,
Mhm.
traumatic. What do they call it? Traumatic mind program. I can't remember what it.
It's the MK Ultra.
Trauma-based mind control. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
It's a mind
Yay,
control for
Joe.
what they could treat.
So go into that, how they actually, and this is known in psychology, the splitting in how
Yeah.
trauma, creates an alter personality that deals with the trauma, and they've weaponized that to the point of, uh, well, through MK Ultra, Monarch, all these different programs. But what was that Denzel Washington movie?
I'm not sure.
Manchurian Candidate. Is that Denzel Washington? Manchurian Candidate? Maybe not. Anyway, it's one
Uh,
of those things where they can kind of like trigger it. They can trigger an alter, and maybe it's not even on purpose a lot of times, but alters get triggered in a lot of people based on, that's why they call it being triggered. I was triggered and now I'm like this different person. So go
yeah.
into a little bit about, talk about that for a bit, about the splintering of personalities and all that shit, because that is crazy. And there's some famous examples of that. I can't remember the dude's name, but he had like 30 something personalities, and they would take the spotlight, as he called it.
Uh-huh.
And one was like an old lady, or she was in charge, and one was a little boy. And it is crazy because they take on different physical traits, different voices,
That's
different,
correct.
and you can say they're just acting, but that's quite a lot of effort to go through to fuck with some cops or whoever you're talking to. So
It's
anyway, I'll let you speak now.
that Bruce Willis movie is what you're talking about, I think.
Is that what it was?
Uh, I'm drawing a blank on the
You're
on the
gonna make me
movie.
look it up now.
Okay, go ahead. I'll chat you. Yeah. So the splitting of the hemispheres, it's nothing new. It started in ancient Egypt, and there's a magic book that uh, Solomon used to have. It's called the Technochromicon. There's actually a recipe in there. I don't say a recipe, but a diagram that lays out the points to how to split the mind. And they would do that to children at a very young age so they could create this mind control slave. When uh, before you're 3 years old, you're incapable of creating an alternate personality. So when there's extreme uh, physical torture or even mental torture, combination of the both, that infant is incapable of creating an alternate personality like you were describing earlier. So a self-preservation, and this is a God-given preservation. See, God put so many safeguards within our body. It's amazing, just to keep us so we just don't fall over dead. And even as an infant, when you go through the severe trauma, which these children that are born into these families do, the hemispheres, the left and the right hemisphere, will split spiritually, not physically. And
I was gonna say, because that is an actual thing they can do, right? Where they snip the connector between the two hemispheres. I don't know if it's for epilepsy or something, but there's a procedure where they've done that.
oh, yeah, well, maybe so to help some people, that could be. Uh, but at the bottom of the brain, the bottom of the two hemispheres, there's a connecting point where the hemispheres come up, and this is where um, they come down to this point, and that's where they give information back and forth. Well, that gets blocked, and so what we have is the left and the right hemisphere, and this severe torture will actually create two separate people, two real people, not an alternate personality, because the brain's not fully developed, because the effulgence of the life force that comes up through the spine at the base of the brain is the life force. And that life force, that original life force, is what gets split. and then it goes off like that.
So is it splitting a soul itself?
It's it's your life force. It's you. It's your the real you. And it comes up, and that's what develops our brain and makes our brain go forward. It's just that life force that God gives us, that life force to develop our body as an
Call
infant.
it chi, prana, all these different ideas about that. Yeah.
So two different people are actually created at this point, and this is what they want. You know, this is what they want. And even before that, even before birth, they'll have rituals over the woman, and they'll invoke these rituals into the egg, and multiple men will deposit within the woman. And we all know that the a woman's womb and the canal will absorb everything that's put in it. That's just the
First
way.
of all, that's a gross word, canal. Ugh. Who are you talking about doing this? Are you talking about the Egyptians or the
No, this is still done today.
okay, by certain entities that will remain nameless?
And when I say entities, I mean demons.
Oh, so they're doing the ritual. You're just talking about humans doing the ritual or
Humans doing the ritual. These are
okay.
the actual family that does these rituals, that invites the demons into the womb and into the fertilized egg. And the DNA of the multiple men that have, deposited inside the woman gets absorbed also, and it can also get absorbed into that egg, the DNA. It's not the one that fertilizes the egg, but the DNA goes in there. So when that child is born, it actually has the DNA of multiple people.
I've heard that before too about how not so much with men, but that women retain fragments of DNA from every person they've been with. And if you think about that, like there was that I was gonna say Tinder, the OnlyFans chick that just set a record for the most people she banged in like one day or something. I
Oh
mean, first
my.
of all, gross on its face. Why I can't even wrap my head around that. But like, she's literally absorbing all the DNA. She's gonna be a nut job in like a year.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah,
Like
and this is why choosing a spouse at when we're young, instead of uh dating, hundreds of people, and having sex with many, many people. This is exactly correct. And as we know, what happens is uh the scriptures tell us the two shall become one flesh. And when you unite your flesh with somebody, you become, your flesh comes yoked with them. And now, especially, when there's sin involved, it gives basically what you do is transfer demons, is what happens when you have sex out of marriage and such. You get what they have, they get what you have. And then let's just say everybody does this 10, 20 times before they get married. Now you get married. Now you come together, and there's a relationship mess that we brought upon ourselves.
yeah, I remember my parents kind of describing it. I mean, we were young, so they didn't talk about the actual birds and bees and the
Mm.
mechanics of it, but their analogy was like basically if you're dating so many people before you find your soulmate or whatever, you're giving away like pieces of your heart a little bit every time, and then when you find the one, you're just left with whatever you have left after you gave it all away. That's how they put it to me. I grew up and I was like, oh, I think I know what they were actually talking about, and they were being nice about it.
They were being nice about it, but this is what they meant. This is what they were trying to say. You get transfers of demons, and then you get a whole bunch. Your wife gets a whole bunch, and now we got a mess.
Now it's just a party.
Yeah, now it's just this dirt clod fight. Yeah,
It's a
it's
Diddy party now.
yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, so this child will be born, And then from 0 to 3, they'll do the torture, the physical and mental torture to them. Hemispheres get split, and then they'll split it again. And now there's 4, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. And when we have a total of 4, um, they equate that. See, everything in the scripture, the enemy's going to just twist and pervert. It's like um, the scriptures tell us there's an angel on each of the 4 corners of the earth. They split the mind in 4 places to put a cherub on each part of your soul. It's a perversion of that scripture. And they don't stop there. They'll try to keep splitting and splitting, and they want to get 72 or 140, as many as they possibly can. And what basically happens to this individual is what's going on in there. There's just so much going on with all these things that have been created, and then altars get created on top of all that. Genesis 1:16 says God gave us, he created 2 lights, one to rule by day and one to rule by night. When they built the Tower of Babel unto Astaroth, they would sacrifice babies, and that would be the pyramid that goes down, the one for Astaroth. And that's the one that's going to rule by night. And then we have the one that's going to rule by day, just like Genesis 1:16 says. And that's the pyramid going up.
You put those two together, and what country has that on their flag?
Oh, that's funny.
That's a different show, though. I'm sorry.
No, that's funny. That's good. So they in their mind, in an SRA survivor's mind, to get this constant rotation going on, constant rotation, because day and night changes throughout the day. So it's like every time it moves slightly, it's like moving a kaleidoscope, creates a kaleidoscope. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, looked inside of one.
Oh, yeah. I'm old enough for that. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have to explain that or not, but we used to play with them when we were kids. But yeah, there's millions of shapes, millions of colors, and just one slight turn, it's like everything just changes.
Oh, they're great, especially if you're eating mushrooms. Amazing.
Okay.
We're talking about the sin days here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I understand. So this is what they deal with, and this is what they live with. And so if you ever meet an SRA survivor, just know that this is what they're dealing with. And if they say something, just don't take it personally, because
It's utter chaos, loud noise.
It's utter chaos. It's utter chaos, and it's confusion to the 10th power. And there's thousands of alternate personalities that are created and here's how the enemy hides all this and keeps it intact, because it's virtually undetectable. Virtually undetectable. He basically creates a double helix system. You ever heard of a double helix? If it's a medical, goes like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so this double helix system is constantly turning, like we were just describing, like this. And the enemy, what I mean by the enemy is the demons, will create worlds inside the soul of these individuals. What do I mean by worlds? Well, I mean, there'll be themes or fantasy things that get created that these person will maybe dream about once in a while. They've been thinking about maybe Wizard of Oz once in a while, or you name it. You name the cartoon, you name the theme. Could be Forrest, could be Mears, Pinocchio. I mean, I could go on and on, right? So these will get created, and within these worlds, the programming is strategically hidden. and they'll hide this, and then they'll hermetically seal it. And what I mean by hermetically seal it, it's like wrapping saran wrap, over food. It keeps it intact and fresh,
Keeping it airtight.
keeping it airtight. So they'll put, curses, and use the black magic to hold that in place, to hold all this stuff in place. That's what's going on in basically, real quickly in the SRA survivors' mind, and even those in the occult. Now, you mentioned Bill Gates. Okay. All right. So even in government, CIA, yeah, there's a lot of that going on too, because they create mind control slaves also intentionally. And if you think about it, they almost have to, because some of these missions that these soldiers go on and some of the tasks that they're called upon to do, they wouldn't do it if they're just say, hey, Sergeant Smith, I need you to go over here and take out Bill Clinton. Do this. Nobody's just going to do that.
I know a few people who would do that for free. My mind went to, hey, your government needs you to spread freedom and democracy over here, so go shoot that little brown kid in the face. Okay, thank you.
Well,
And normal people would not do that, but they desensitize them. They propagandize them by saying, this is for God and country. You have to kill them or they'll kill us, and you're defending liberty. And that's also a different show. But yeah, I get what you're talking about.
yeah, but by putting those statements constantly in people's minds, they're, those statements are going in there. And then after a while, they'll believe that. And then when they're called upon, yeah, they're gonna act it out. Yeah, 100%. So, anyways, they will actually, like in the military, it doesn't have to be the military. I'm going to tell you a story here in just a second on a really uh, blue collar level. All right. But in the military and stuff, they will intentionally uh, program an individual and create an alternate personality that will be able to carry out a certain task. And they have to cue them. And a cue there'll be a visual and an audible cue that they'll bring up that personality to carry out that task, deed, or service, whatever the need is. I was ministering to this one person, and it was a gal. She went to a dentist. Well, come to find out, this dentist was not a nice person. This
None of them
dentist,
are.
this dentist, I don't know, but anyways, she goes and sees this dentist, and I don't know all the details that happened, but he hypnotized her. He actually hypnotized her and put her in this
Is that
trance.
part of his anesthesia?
You're talking about someone that has evil intent and has evil inside them. The
Yeah,
guy
every dentist. Yeah.
this guy was the actual warlock, is what he was. Yeah, he
Weird
was.
job for a warlock to have.
Yeah. Warlock by night, dentist by day,
Yeah, that makes sense.
got to
I
pay the
believe it.
bills somehow, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hypnotized this gal, and then all kinds of bad things happened after that. She got these entities. They had these extreme soul tie with this individual. He'd be in her dreams, visit her, and he would do stuff in her dreams because he had this attachment. Well, I had to dehypnotize her, and we removed the tie that she had with him. And there was also programming that was installed in her mind also from this that he put in there. And there's 7 layers to your mind. If you're praying with somebody, trying to help them through something, if you only pray and in the conscience part, where you and I are talking with right now. It's the prefrontal cortex. You're never going to help somebody with deep issues because it's hidden way back there.
Small talk, basically. I did hear
Yeah.
you mention that, and I'd never heard that before that I remember. Go into that a little bit about the seven layers, and because it kind of sounds like the different, like when you're sleeping, you have different brain waves, alpha, delta, all these different things. Is it something similar to that, but on a conscious level?
Yeah. Well, okay. So when you go to sleep, you close your eyes and you're not quite asleep yet, but you're getting really relaxed. Well, that's like a theta state. And then you'll go into the deep REM sleep. Okay. So the subconscious mind is 90% of our brain. 90%. You start thinking about that. That's a big portion of our brain, you
Yeah,
know.
it's making your heart beat, making you breathe, all these things you don't think about, reaction speed, all this stuff.
Correct. So the first layers are our prefrontal cortex. It's their conscience. The second layer is our subconscious. The third layer is the anterior subconscious. And the fourth layer is the value and belief. And then we have the fight or flight. Then we have the no conscience part. And then we have that part that you just talked about that operates everything automatically. It's the autonomic system. It controls your blood pressure, your heart rate, all this stuff just automatically. And that's where the effulgence of the life force sits right above that. So the enemy hides all this stuff way back in that sixth layer and even up to the seventh. And that's where it's hidden and that's where it stays. And it's strategically in there. It's really deep in there. And that's where you have to go dig and take it out.
Where do you think not to side tangent too much, but where do you think the most suggestible state is? Because I've seemed to realize that the more easily people are controlled is when they're in the limbic state, the fight or flight. And we see that everywhere in media and propaganda, all this. They keep you in this fight or flight state, mostly fear, just fear all the time. You're going to get bombed, you're going to get this virus, whatever. And then they bring something else in and be like, you should vote for this. And
Yeah.
because you're in that limbic state, you're like, oh yeah, just fix it. Just
Yeah.
bring me relief. Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. And then they get what they want. So
Fear's
in
a
my opinion.
yeah, fear's a huge one. It's right up there, not like number one, because fear is the a big tactic of the enemy that uses. As we get further on in this world, we're 2025. We're at a place where a lot of people are very complacent in their Christian faith with the Lord.
I
Very
know a lot of them.
very complacent. And it's what it's easy because churches just don't push people. You know, most churches don't talk about sin, repentance, or hell. They leave those topics out because people don't want to hear that stuff.
Or they only talk about that. That's
Or
that's
they
a big
only tell
problem
you
I
that.
have with. I'm not your typical Christian. I have a big problem with organized religion in general, but the
Hmm.
church thing, I'm very disillusioned with the church as a whole. Uh, I don't believe you have to go to church every Sunday at 11 a.m.
Hmm.
because Jesus said, "Don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together." They take that and run with it, and now you got to be there at 11 o'clock every week, and you got the ones that only want to hear fire and brimstone, only want to hear about judgment, and you're a sinner and you're going to go to hell. Then you get the other side of the aisle, kind of the more modern churches that have a whole rock band out there, and all they do is say love and light, and it's almost like a new age church. Like you go to this supposedly Christian church and they're just like, God is love, everything's cool, you're trans, you're gay, that's all fine, just Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. All right, have a good week, we'll see you next week.
Like a
So that's
Joel
my problem.
Osteen, like a Joel Osteen style.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. He's
that.
definitely not in it for the money though. He has a good heart.
Oh no, no, he isn't in it for the money at all. Of course not.
The
His
jet
dad
was just a bonus from God.
his dad is a stark difference from him. I don't know if you
Oh,
know.
really?
Oh yeah, look up his dad sometime. John Olstein. Just he was a
Let's see.
he was like a speaking in tongues type of guy. You know, healing and all
That's
that
weird
stuff.
too.
Well, I can touch on that if you want me to, because I will.
Yeah. I don't
Uh,
want to sidetrack you too much, but like I told you before the show, we go wherever. So yeah,
okay,
if that's
so
interesting, yeah.
speaking in tongues, I did it for 35 years. Okay, almost 40 years,
Weird.
and 100% convinced. I'm doing the correct thing because that's what I was taught. I believed all the teachings that I listened to and all this until I actually opened up the scriptures and really researched that in the ancient Greek. If you research Acts 2, which tongues, this is where they talk about it, is in Acts 2. If you research that, the word tongues is the word glossa. The word glossa in the ancient Greek, not your Strong's Concordance, means a known language you were born and raised with. It
So
doesn't
not just shabalaba
it
like the
doesn't mean gibberish. It doesn't mean
right.
confusion. It doesn't mean anything uh, of that sort. Speaking in tongues comes from the Tower of Babel. When Nimrod says, I'm going to give Baal to the world. And that was the gateway for Baal to be revealed. Baal is the author of confusion. It's the author of chaos. And the languages got confused and there was chaos in there. So the speaking in tongues comes from chaos and confusion, and it is demonic. It's not a matter of uh, whether you're going to go to heaven or hell. It's not a matter of that, okay? But it is a matter of making you have a closer relationship with the Lord or not.
I mean, just
100%.
logically on its face, these I mean, I don't know if how far you've delved into the weird side of the internet, but there's the Love and Light people, which I love to rag on all the time. I'm sure they're great people, no problem. But when they're coming out and saying everything is love and light, and then YouTube it sometime. It'll blow your mind.
Okay.
They're doing the same thing Pentecostals have been doing for years, where they get up and they say, "I'm going to have a light language transmission," and it's the weirdest shit. I'll have to try to find one so the audio listeners can hear it because if you haven't heard it, it's really strange and it doesn't sound like anything that is good, and it's not like they can translate it. So what are we doing here, people? Let
Well,
me
that
see.
the Lucifer will masquerade as an angel of light. So they're probably taking that scripture and perverting it. And there's a lot of philosophies out there that are just going to take you off, just take you off the path. To be quite
Oh
honest,
yeah. Many false prophets.
many false prophets.
All right, so I'm going to share screen here. Hopefully, this first one I googled, just so you can get an idea what I'm talking about. It's bizarre. This is
Okay.
probably going to be an ad. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Oh, we got Trump and McDonald's. Nice, nice, nice.
There.
All right, skip.
I finally got
All
a
right,
job.
let's see if this chick does it. Yeah,
I
don't
can't
care.
I can't hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh crap. Hang on.
There's a
Yeah.
young lady who's really popular who does the tongues. And wow, I'm telling you, she is programmed.
She actually calls is it like Christian tongues?
Yeah, I don't want to really mention her name because I really don't like. you know, picking on people, but she's a young lady. She's in her 30s. Super popular.
Can you hear this?
Yes.
And the light
Okay.
language that I'll be sharing today is, again, it's a vibration of love. Um, and this specific light language that I'm going to be channeling is for the heart.
Oh, just do it already.
Intiara kuasi ushakiatana aria kuatsia urutukania aria
See what I mean?
kuasia
Oh
tu
yeah.
a
Isn't that
tutukuania
bizarre?
i aria tu
Every religion,
sa.
Joe, here's what's interesting. Every religion um, speaks in tongues. And I mean tongues of Baal. That's what I'm speaking in tongues is tongues of Baal because it's confusion. Hitler used to speak in tongues before they would
Yeah, it's
gather.
called German.
But I mean, as their group, all the generals and stuff, they would get together and they would utter gibberish. They would start going off just like that. They all do it. Muslims do it. You've heard them. You've heard them. You've heard them do that. They get
Yeah,
that
it's called Arabic.
la 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 stuff. They do all
Allah
that.
Akbar.
Yeah. So every religion will speak tongues of Baal. They all have it in there, and so does that lady's got it too. But she's on a
How do you wrap your head around that as like a logical person? Because a lot of these people aren't by, first glance, they're not crazy people. They're decent people that are they do they really think they're doing what they like? I don't understand. Like, how can you stand and sit there and go blah 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 blah? You're just saying gibberish. What do you think you're doing? Like, what do these people think they're actually doing?
I try to have the belief, Joe, to never underestimate the lying capabilities and the deception capabilities of the enemy because you know what? He's really good at it. Really good. He's the father of all lies. He's extremely convincing. And there's so many people that will give into, yeah, this is good. This is right. And the way they get like a confirmation is an entity will come in there and make them feel powerful, make them feel energized. They have an emotional supercharged
I
feeling.
got 10,000 views on YouTube. Yeah,
10,000 views
ego
on
boost.
YouTube. Right. Exactly. So all this stuff is going on. Yeah, they get the ego boost, this emotionally charged feelings and stuff going on when the tongues of Baal start going on. And that lady that you did, well, that's probably some Hindu thing she's into because she's a channeler. So the
There's a
entity,
lot of them. That was literally the first search that showed up, but I've listened to there's a great show I mention all the time called Mysterious Universe, two Australian dudes that talk about crazy stuff, but they rag on this stuff all the time, and they're like, "Oh, the light language people, shamanaba, shabadabidibidabidiblah." It's like you're not doing anything. Nobody understands what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
what?
Well,
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
they try to come across as you know they got power and they've got authority and their voice is like wow.
I'm
Ooh.
not religious, but I am spiritual. That kind. Yeah.
Yeah. And so even like, in the Pentecostal world, the charismatic world, you'll see these charismatic preachers on the stage and then they'll start speaking tongues of Baal. They're looked upon like, wow, this guy is powerful. This guy has all the knowledge. Well, what they're seeing is an entity talking. That's all they're seeing. That's it.
Do you think there actually is some kind of, entity behind it? And I know people get tripped up on, oh, everything's demons, but this has been, I don't want to say a mythology, but that's been an idea for millennia that there's these less than reputable spirits that are out there that try to get what they want out of you, and they do
Mhm.
whatever they can to, like, I mean, this whole show has been about that. So whatever you want to call it, whether you call it bad entities, or I know there's attachments. Clives is another word for it. Just, it's like the monkey on your shoulder type of idea. Whatever
Mhm.
you want to call it, we understand. You all understand what we're talking about here. There's
Yeah.
these influences on both sides, and you get both of them all the time. So whether you want to call them demons or just, or the angels, your higher self, that's a good new age term. My higher self, told me I should do this. And uh, what, so kind of going, circling back like Jen Psaki, uh, what, how do you deal with it? Like, what's your protocol on this? If somebody comes to you or you notice, do you just walk up like Benny Hinn and just slap him in the forehead? Like,
Oh no, 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 no.
oh shit,
I
that'd be
don't.
way more fun.
Yeah, I don't do anything like that. You know, I am a firm believer. If somebody really wants to be free, then they have to be at that point where, I'm done. I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's jump in the ring and get this done. So I don't do any screaming. I don't do any yelling. We're we just talk at this volume, and I have very specific prayers, very specific ones, and I just lead them in prayers that will uproot and remove the programming, the mind control programming, and this data can be removed from them.
D- does it work when you're going back to the splitting of the mind or whatever,
Mhm.
and it could be a thousand different parts, whatever.
Right.
Have you seen somebody come back from that and like reintegrate all those parts and become whole again, or is that permanent?
Absolutely. No, I did just
Oh, okay.
yesterday. I
Really?
Yes, sir. I meet with people almost every day. And like I said, it takes about just a few months, and they'll be at a pretty good place, where they can, function in society pretty well, and that doesn't mean they're going to be just 100%, uh, you know, peaches and cream. There'll still be some issues got to work with and stuff.
Oh, nobody ever
Yeah.
is, so they'll get
Yeah.
you there.
Yeah. That's actually true. And, uh, but yeah, I worked with a lady just yesterday, and those two parts came together.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And God can do it.
So is it kind of like addiction recovery though, where they can like 2 months later fall right back into the same thing unless they have an ongoing practice or something that's keeping them kind of tethered to that idea?
They're going to be enticed, because once you're an SRA survivor or you came from an occult family, more than likely you're going to be enticed by family members or those that you're associated with in some way or another. So they're going to, like, throw a fish and pull a line out to try to get you back in. So they have to be strong, and they have to stand their ground. Absolutely they do. And so they have to do the work themselves. They got to read their Bible every day. They got to pray every day, and they have to do all these things to keep themselves, spiritually strong. So we don't fall back into that and get enticed and trapped again. So
Yeah, and I think
they
that's
will.
the thing that is the biggest problem for most people, and not just with this, but with anything, with any kind of, and I rail on this all the time, but the self-responsibility is just gone nowadays. The kids these days,
Yeah.
it's past the buck. It's everything. I'm a victim of this. Everything is somebody else's fault. It's so that type would be really hard, I would think, to actually, heal from any of these things because
It's
they
much
don't. It's
deeper.
not
No,
that they
it
don't want to necessarily. It's that they want to take a pill or an injection, something to instant gratification, fix it right now instead of doing the work themselves. And then when it doesn't work, it's somebody else's fault again.
Well, the truth is, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 10 years old, you could be 20, 30, 40, 60, or 70. There's no perfect parents. None. Every parent falls short. Every parent has made mistakes. And it's so, like you said, it's so easy to say, well, my dad was like this. He didn't give me that. Well, my mom was like that. She didn't give me that. And it's all her fault. And that's why I am the way I am. But when we're an adult, now it's up to us.
Right.
Now you own it. You have it. It doesn't matter whose fault it is at this point. It's either you're going to do something about it or you're not.
No, I think that is the mark of an actual, if you want to call it an adult, is actually, coming to the place where you realize I'm here right now because of things I did. Yes, there are influences, like we said, uh, and especially in extreme cases of like an abusive family or SRA or any of these things. Yes, there
Right.
are extreme cases where you can probably put a little blame on that. I mean, honestly, like
Yeah.
you had
Yeah,
a
of
fucked up
course.
childhood. We get it,
Yeah.
but just little things that go on, and then they carry that with them for years into adulthood, and then still point back 10 years ago and say that's why I did this today. It's like no. At some point, you gotta snap out of it and start taking accountability for yourself. It's still your choice, still your action. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I was going back when we were talking about the angel and devil on your shoulder thing. Yes, there are influences all the time from every angle, but where you point your compass is up to you, not them. So it does come down to the individual.
It is, you brought up a really good point. You know, uh, it's so easy to blame mom and to blame dad or uncle or aunt or, these relatives that were really close in our lives. And there may be a couple big issues with a couple of these people. But you know what? You're not going to grow, and this isn't going to go away if you don't forgive these people. And that's can be really hard because you're not going to affect them because
Yeah,
they're
it's an ego pride thing. It's hard to do because they don't want to
hard to
admit
do.
that a lot of the things that happened were from me, not this person. A lot easier to forgive somebody if you're taking responsibility and saying, you know what, and actually they're a terrible person, but I forgive them because what happened after that was all me, just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
right.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. That could have been a one-time incident, where mom or dad did this or whatever. And you carry this around. Well,
Yeah.
mom and dad have moved on. They probably don't even remember that, but you got it
Oh yeah.
bottled up in here. It's amazing if you can just let that go and
You're
get
just
past
hurting yourself.
hurting
That's another thing
yourself.
I don't think people understand, especially the kids these days.
Yeah.
They just don't understand that ho- it's not even necessarily a grudge, but that does turn into a grudge. But it's this holding on to these stupid little things that everybody deals with every day and making it all about
Yeah.
that's why I'm fucked up is this one tiny thing that happened. It's like everybody deals with that. You're not special. You're not
Everybody.
unique for that. Okay, so get over it. Grow the fuck up, basically.
Everybody deals with it. We all got problems. We've all got issues. We're all born with things. It's maybe grandpa was an alcoholic and that gets passed on to you. Now you have a big, huge tendency to become one too. Well, we can choose and make choices to do this or not. Sometimes these choices aren't easy. Sometimes they're really difficult, but you can do it because your free will
Oh yeah.
choices. You go back to that. You don't have to do that activity or what grandpa did. You don't have to do that. You can choose something else.
Yeah, there's people who have done heroin for years, and that's like one of the most like physically addictive things. Any kind of
Yeah.
opiate like that, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not just a mental addiction at that point. This is a physical, like
It's
you can
physical.
die if you just go cold turkey. I
Correct.
understand that, but to like me, like I like to drink. That's my thing. I don't blame it on anybody. That's me. I do it because I like to drink beers. That's
Hmm.
it. Is it good for me? No. Should I slow it down? Yeah, absolutely. But I know it at least. I'm not going to blame it on my parents for being strict when I was. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. We all have this free will choice, and we can move past things if we choose to, or not. We can just keep them.
And you can tell. You can tell which people have moved on or,
You can. I know it.
We talk about it all the time. Me and my wife talk about that all the time too. It's like,
Oh, nice.
it sucks because every person goes through that awkward 13 to 25, we'll say, age where
Yeah,
they
right. It's
don't know what the
awkward.
fuck they're doing. They don't know where they're,
No
who they
direction.
are, or no direction at all. And then you kind of grow out of it, and then you're like, wow, that was a weird time. I'm very ashamed of a lot of things I did. Ooh, wow. But you
Yep.
can tell the ones that don't grow out of that because then they just become shitty adults. And then you're at Walmart and you're like, oh, that's one of those people who never got it. They didn't ever, wake up to
Yeah.
this. So
And they're 60 years old and still doing these, they still have the same behaviors. So
still got the double helix going on over and over and
yeah.
over.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah.
what's a good story that sticks out in your head of somebody who either came to you or you noticed they needed a boop on the nose with this stuff that you can share with us?
There's another lady that came to me, and we had a couple sessions, and she said, there's this, I had a boyfriend, is what she said. And she goes, "Hey, I really liked him." And they were seeing each other. He invited me over for a get together at his house. So this young woman, I think she was like in her mid to late 30s. She had like a young daughter, like 4 years old. So mom goes to boyfriend's and they have a party. Well, come to find out at this party, um, it was an organized thing that the boyfriend set up because he was a Satanist and he was involved in a coven. So they drugged the girlfriend, pricked her finger with some blood, did some rituals, and they all took turns with her physically. And so
Oh,
she got,
Village Bicycle?
I'm
Like
sorry.
I said Village Bicycle, like they all took a turn.
No, no, no. This was like a coven, like a Satanist coven. And so they had a ritual and there was men there. And these men all took their turns with that girlfriend
Right, yeah, okay. So she was
physically.
out of it and
He was
yeah.
out of it. And so they all had sex with her.
Yes.
So she comes, we had this session and she's got all this stuff just firing off, all these demons are just firing off and stuff. We got through that and got that taken care of. And she goes, ever since that night, my daughter, and this has been about probably 3 or 4 months, I think she said, somewhere around there. Every night, my daughter wakes up screaming about 2 in the morning. I mean, just screaming bloody murder, just terrified. Ever since that night that mom had with, the boyfriend, that ritual. I go,
Did the
okay.
mom have any memory of this? Like, or was she just told afterwards or
She had about 50% memory. She woke up in her house and she can't, there was a period of time there that she doesn't remember how she got from point A to point B, but she did remember going there. She remembered taking, or they gave her, snuck her the drugs to knock her out. And, she had, pricks on her finger. And then the boyfriend told her everything afterwards.
did he say what the purpose of this whole thing was?
He said he was a Satanist.
So just a general Satanist thing, just like Tuesday night.
Something like that. They would get together. See, whenever they have these rituals, the only purpose to do it is so they get higher power demons inside them. So they become more elevated and more evil. And that's the purpose they do that. That's what drives them.
Huh. Sounds
So,
boring, but to each their own.
so this daughter was waking up, right? Screaming, just screaming bloody murder every night. I go, let's just pray. And daughter wasn't even in the room. So we prayed and we asked the Lord to remove the entities, remove the rights over that young girl. And I go, okay, just let me know what happens. Send me an email here in, 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. And she did. She goes, ever since we prayed that prayer, the girl's been sleeping like a baby. I thought, awesome. That's really good story. I'm glad you guys have a happy home once again. So that was a really good story.
Yeah. What is the I mean, I don't need you to give your secrets out, but like what's the you said it was very specific. So do you have an example of a prayer for different, scenarios?
So for something like that, okay, the mom sub, went to that ritual, whether she did it willingly or unwillingly, it doesn't matter. The fact is, she was there and she was a participant, even though she was taken advantage of and they did all these bad things. Well, since she did that, mom has legal custody over that little girl. So that gave the enemy a legal right. Demons are very legal. If they can, they will. It's like
All
that.
you have to do is look at the legal system and you'll understand that. Yeah.
There you go. Just look at the court system. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they just basically came into the little girl because the mom had legal authority. So they just came into the little girl. So what we prayed over that little girl is we renounced all those rituals and everything that mom did, and we broke off the legal authority over that little girl. And we just say, I cut off all legal authority coming to, I forget her name, the little girl, and we cut it off with the sword of the Spirit. And then I asked the Lord to remove all the entities from her, just like that. And that was pretty much all we prayed. And remove all the hermetic seals over them. It's pretty
That
much.
seems so. I mean, I know a lot of what
It
people
seems so easy, when there's no.
Yeah, like possession, like Hollywood makes it seem like you got to have the priest come in there with a cross and tossing holy water, and and their
Right.
heads twisting around and all that. Have you ever seen anything physical like that? It's all psychological, isn't it?
I have. No, I've definitely seen it, but 98% of the time, it's just like what I explained.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just a matter of fact. A prime example of that, the story about when Jesus was tempted for 40 days and 40
Yeah.
nights by the enemy. He goes, look at the city. I'll give you the city this. I'll give you that whole city. Just worship me. And Jesus spoke the word. Thou wilt have no other gods but the Lord thy God. Then he went to the bread and tried to do all these temptations.
And he's like, by the way, the Lord your God standing right here, you moron. What are you trying to do?
Hello,
Yeah.
So basically what Jesus did was just prayed the word.
Yeah.
He just spoke the word. That's all he did. And that's all we have to do is just speak the word.
Yeah, I think people try to
We don't have to scream.
overthink it a little bit when it's I mean, this is a different show too, but aliens or that kind of thing, you're getting abducted supposedly. A lot of people say it goes away by reciting the Lord's Prayer or even just saying Jesus Christ's name. So what is that? That makes it sound like whatever they think these aliens are probably not little creatures from Mars or, Zeta Reticuli.
Well, if people are actually seeing aliens and they're having alien encounters where they're being abducted and all this, I guarantee you there's stuff inside there that's deep inside there, some programming that's in them that got in there at some point. Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a weird I mean, this whole era since I've been alive has been very strange. And then I look back at some of the history of not just aliens but demons, all this stuff, and it's like this has been going on for quite some time. This is not a new thing.
Nothing
It's almost
new.
like whatever you want to call demons, you could just call them demons for ease of speaking, but
Vocabulary, yeah.
they seem to change as the technology, as the society changes. It seems like they change how they come in. So I don't know if you're familiar with some of the weirder stuff like Fey folk, folklore, sprites, brownies, house, all
Hmm.
these things that are all over the world. It's kind of the same story. They just call them something different and they do different things. Uh, Garden gnomes, things like that. What is your opinion of all that? Or Bigfoot, cryptids, dogmen? What do you think of all that? Are those all demons, for lack of a better word?
Well, if people are seeing things, okay, if they're seeing a garden gnome, they're seeing elves or what have you, there's stuff in their head. There's stuff in there. And I call it programming. Okay. You could choose a term that may be more palatable or whatever. And what I mean by programming, there's stuff in there that actually makes them for real see that. In that it's a real thing that's happening inside their head and inside their brain. For them, it's real. They actually see those elves hopping through the forest. They actually see Little Red Riding Hood, going off. It's real to them.
And we're talking about stark sober people too. We're not talking about people smoking DMT or acid or anything like that. This is a
Right.
lot of them stark sober and they see this stuff and they seem otherwise stable. Like a lot of these stories come from cops, which I'm not saying cops are stable, but a lot of these people are reputable, like they have a good
Yeah.
reputation. So they don't want to bring this stuff up. I didn't mean to go into a paranormal segment here, but it kind
Oh,
of ties in because we're talking about entities. But
it does. It does. Yeah. No, they
so
could be
yeah, it's just
really decent
strange. Like,
people.
and it
Really
goes
decent
so
people.
far back, and it's crazy. And now it's coming out in the government where they're disclosing aliens or whatever. It's like, what are they leading up to? I always like to kind of round out the show with that. Like, where do you think all of this is going from your perspective? Sometimes it's political, sometimes it's paranormal, aliens, whatever. From your perspective, are we in the end times? Do you believe in the little season? That's a whole show in itself. But like, where do you see 5, 10 years from now? What are we going to see? Giant locusts?
Nothing's new under the sun. Nothing's new. You know, King Solomon, uh, he used to command demons. He was so evil. He used to tell demons what to do, and they helped him build the temple. You
And
know,
didn't he have a ring or something?
he had a ring. Yeah,
Yeah,
he had a ring, and he wrote the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon.
used
Uh,
in witchcraft.
yeah, and so he had really high level. He was a wizard, is what he was. He commanded the demons, and that was what 6,000 years ago. So we're fast forward to 2025. Nobody knows the day or the hour that the end of the world's going to happen. This could go on for another 1,000 years. It could, but you can't argue the fact that we're getting closer and closer because things just get heated up as time goes on. There's the turmoil of the entire world. It's not just the United States, it's the entire world. It just the degradation of the entire world just keeps going down and down and down. And there's going to come a point
It seems to
when,
be directly related to technology. You got these two different things. The degradation of the world is going down, but the technology seems to just rise at the same speed. Wonder if there's a relation there.
yeah, because there's in Revelation, it says uh, the knowledge will be increasing at the end at
Yeah.
record rates, at record rates. You
And the
know,
last 100 years, I point to this all the time. The last 100 years, you can't argue, has been bizarre. The
it's
technological advances. If you want to believe the mainstream narrative that we've been here for millions of years, which I don't buy into that, but uh, even if you go with 6,000 years or 6 to 8, whatever
yeah, right.
regular Christians believe, we basically had the same technology for like 5 or 6 thousand of those years, and then
Yeah,
in the last century or two, it's just skyrocketed off the chart.
it's skyrocketed.
I want to have ChatGPT make me a graph of technology increases, and it's just a straight up line in the last 100 years.
And look at AI. How long's that been around? What, a year? to, I don't know how long it's been, not
Well,
very
that's
long,
a different show too. I think it's been around a lot longer, and they just started letting us play with it. But
probably, but look where it's taking everybody and taking the whole world. It's exponentially just going like that, and it's going to be on autopilot here pretty quick.
oh, that's perfect. Actually, I planned on closing out the show with that too. What your thoughts on AI is coming from kind of a, you know, deliverance
Yeah,
perspective. Like, what do you think about AI as it stands now, or maybe as it will be in a year?
everything that can distract you from keeping your eyes off of the Lord. I don't care if it's AI trying to do something into you and program you and make you believe, make you follow stuff. That is the intention. Just they want you to go off and make you believe things. And it doesn't it could be AI, it could be anything. But AI is a huge one in today's world. It's huge.
Oh, it's the soup du jour now.
It's
Everybody's
the
talking
soup du
about it.
jour. Correct. That's a good word,
I can't
actually.
get through a show without talking about it because it's
Okay.
so pervasive now. It's in everything. I opened up Zoom and it was like, "You want to use the AI companion?" I'm like, "No, I don't need that. I can click buttons. I'm
Yeah.
fine."
Yeah. I know everything's AI. Exactly. But you know what? We still have a free will, and I just encourage everybody to follow the Lord with your choice. Don't follow what AI tells you to do. You follow the Lord. And here's your handbook. It's it's right there.
Nice. Yeah, it is funny. I was trying to. Everybody tries to like bait and switch Chat GPT and try to mess with it and see what, and it lies all the time. It admits it lies. I was trying to have a conversation with it, and it actually defended God, which was kind of weird to me. Maybe
Really?
it was the angle I was coming at it. I was trying to like do a logical thing with it where I'm like, so God said, incest is totally not cool. Like that's no.
Right.
But how did the world come to be from two people without incest? And it basically, I mean, it laid out a great argument. It was basically like, no, God doesn't change. Same yesterday, today, and forever. His laws are based on, like the time in history. It was kind of a weird argument, but I had Chat GPT defending God to me. It was bizarre.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Been an interesting thing to read.
I don't recommend using AI,
Yeah.
especially after these new studies coming out that are saying people are going psychotic, killing themselves, and all kinds of other fun stuff that could be avoided if you just use your own brain to look things up. It
Absolutely.
just seems like it's a glorified search engine at this point. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but
it
I'm not scared of it either. I'm not a doomer. I'm not like, oh, it's going to take over the world, Skynet. They're going to try to use it for that, but I'm still not scared of it. Come at me, bro. I don't care.
it's nothing to be afraid of. Like I said, you have your handbook. Just read your handbook and just follow what it says, and you're going to be fine.
Love it. Well, that's a great way to close out the show. Thanks, everybody in the live chat and all of our audio listeners. We love you. randygoodwin.org. Is there anything else you want to plug before we get out of here?
I just want, if you are an SRA survivor, there is hope and God does truly love you.
And hit him up because this is the guy you want to go to if you have any of that type of problem, or even if you don't. If you're just a normal person who needs a good gut cleanse via the Holy Spirit. All right,
Thank you,
everybody. Have a
Joe.
great night. Randy, appreciate you. And maybe next time we can get my wife and my brother on here and they can meet you too because I'm sure they'd love that. But
It'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
all right,
Thank
man.
you so
Everybody have
much.
a great night. We will